Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley says he is stepping away from football to address his mental health. He was a late scratch before today's game against the Panthers for what was termed as a personal matter. It was the second game he has missed due to an undisclosed personal matter. He did not travel with the Falcons 3 weeks ago for the game against the Jets in London. Now, here's the statement that Ridley released on social media Sunday. These past few weeks have been very challenging, and as much as I'd like to be on the field competing with my teammates, I need to step away from football at this time and focus on my mental well-being. This will help me be the best version of myself now and in the future. He goes on to thank his teammates and the entire Atlanta Falcons organization, the fans and friends and family who are giving him support at this time. And for more on this breaking news, let's welcome in Jamey Eisenberg and Pete Prisco. Pete, I'll come to you first with this. Obviously, not an ideal situation for the Falcons, but at the same time, Calvin Ridley, a guy who obviously needs to address his mental health and making the right decision.
Yeah, this is a time when football becomes secondary. If you're the Atlanta Falcons, you want your guy to go out and get as much help as he possibly needs. If he doesn't want to play the rest of the season, so be it, just as long as he gets help. And I know Calvin Ridley a little bit. He's a good kid. I hope he does get the help he needs. Again, bigger than football at the moment.
Jamey?
Obviously, same sentiment. I think just from an on-field standpoint, they're going to miss him and miss him in a big way. It hasn't been the season I'm sure he's hoped for, hasn't been the season the Falcons have hoped for. We were expecting him to take that next step with Julio Jones gone. And they clearly missed him in the game against the Panthers today. You're looking at this receiving core, and they're not the same team. They got the win against the Jets, like you mentioned, in the first time that he missed because of a personal matter. Cordarrelle Patterson has stepped up as a rusher and a receiver, so he'll fill a big void. Russell Gage going to have to fill a big void. Know if they'll maybe be aggressive at the trade deadline to see if they bring in some help. Some of the receivers that are out there. Obviously, Kyle Pitts did not have a great game against the Panthers. Clearly a guy they're going to lean on. But Matt Ryan struggles without Calvin Ridley on the field. I think he's going to struggle until he comes back, and hopefully he's back soon. Hopefully he gets his situation taken care of and he feels good enough to play, and then he gets on with the rest of the season and has the breakout campaign that we were hoping for.
Yeah, no timeline for his return. He just says he's stepping away, and it appears to be right now. It's just going to be until he gets it figured out. So from a fantasy perspective, Jamey, if you have Calvin Ridley, what are you doing now as a fantasy owner?
Well, obviously you got to find a replacement option. I don't think there's anybody that stands out on the Falcons of somebody you're going to go out and pick up, because as we saw in this game against the Panthers today, it was Tajay Sharp. I don't want to trust Tajay Sharp. Russell Gage was a non-factor. Olamide Zaccheaus is not a guy that's going to step up and fill that void. So you're looking for guys on the waiver wire. So we'll find out who comes out of the Week 8 slate as somebody you can pivot to. Devontae Parker's having a good game, for example. He's somebody, some people might have dropped Tyler Boyd. He's having a big game. But you look to make trades as well. And, you can still find a trade partner. If I'm a undefeated fantasy team, a one-loss, two-loss fantasy team, I might be looking to acquire Calvin Ridley for what could hopefully be a good stretch run now that his value is a little, declined. So I think you can try and maybe make some sort of trade there. Look at a team that's struggling. Say, I'll give you Calvin Ridley to the winning team, a team with a winning record. I'll give you Calvin Ridley for a team with a losing record. Try and get some parts that can help you now.
Pete, how does this change their outlook on offense, not having a guy like Ridley in there, given the emergence of a guy like Kyle Pitts? Obviously it's going to put more pressure on Pitts. You've got Patterson as well. Jimmy mentioned the impact that he's had on this offense, but how does it change just not having Ridley on the field?
Well, Ridley was supposed to be their number one wide receiver, and anytime you lose your number one wide receiver, it puts focus somewhere else, and the focus now is on Kyle Pitts, and I think we saw that today. He struggled. He had a drop on a long throw in the third quarter that he should have caught, would have been a big play, but for the most part, he was non-factor in the game, and that's what. Look, he had to adjust to the NFL game. It took him a couple weeks, and now he's going to have to adjust to being the number one guy. When you're the number one guy, you see bracket coverage. You're going to see double teams, and that's the next adjustment for a guy like Kyle Pitts. That's what it'll do to their offense.
And obviously, if you're looking to pick somebody up, Kyle Pitts would be a guy that you could certainly take a look at, possibly making a move for.
You can try, yeah. The fact that he's such a prior to today's game, he had, 2 straight 100-yard games.
If you can get him at this point.
It's hard to pry him off of somebody's roster knowing that he's going to see an uptick in targets moving forward.
Okay. Well, the early games are just wrapping up, and there were some divisional games today, so actually some pretty tight divisional games, at least going into halftime. As we take a look at some of the scores as the games are wrapping up, things have kind of moved a little bit off. The Panthers have defeated the Falcons by a score of 19-13. The Niners up by 11 on the Bears. Steelers beating the Browns with just over 90 seconds left there. And the Bills beating the Dolphins. And there you see some of the other ones. The Eagles gone final against the Lions 44-6. Rams had defeated the Texans 38-22. Titans, Colts, Bengals, Jets still wrapping up. We will have highlights from the 1 o'clock games coming up next. Stay with us here on HQ.